Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the SOG Terminus XR in S35VN. They have discontinued the BDZ1 version that was in my top 10 knives under $100 for 2019. And they have replaced it with this new S35VN version. A little bit more than the previous one was, $85, but now there is also a more budget D2 version, around, if I remember correctly, like 45, 50 bucks. So they've filled the gap. There's just nothing between now. Now you've got one that's a little higher, one that's a little less expensive. So, and I'll be checking out the D2 version at some point as well. Yeah, this is the beginning of a pretty big departure from SOG. If you looked at their SHOT Show releases, which mostly aren't out yet, they're really going all in on this XR lock, which is basically, their version of the now patent-free Benchmade Axis lock, running on the same kind of Omega spring principle, with the little lock bar and stuff. It looks pretty familiar to a lot of people. Works pretty similarly to that too. We'll get more to that in the deployment section of the review. But a nice looking knife. It looks exactly like the old one. You can see, but it just says S35VN. So much like the old one that actually, when I ordered this, they sent the wrong one initially. It was in an S35VN box, but it was not. It was one of the old BDZ1 ones. But I sent it back to SOG. They replaced it super quick, no questions asked, so no complaints there. So yeah, this is the proper S35VN version. Yeah, like I said, I like the looks. It's kind of this G10 with the carbon fiber overlay, kind of sort of stickery thing. Definitely not carbon fiber all the way through. Nice deep carry pocket clip. It is reversible, and this is a completely ambidextrous lock, so this is a completely ambidextrous design. Really nice looking blade. I do like the finish just a bit better. You can't tell it much, but between the BDZ1 and the S35VN, just the grind lines are a bit more pronounced. I like that look. I think it looks pretty cool. Some places call this a hollow grind. If it's a hollow grind, it's the slightest hollow grind I've ever felt in my life. Feels more like a flat grind to me, but yeah, pretty cool knife, and a lot of cool things going for it. SOG really trying to move forward with some stuff, but let's do some stats and size comparisons before we get much farther in this. You have an overall length of 7 inches, blade length of 3 inches, blade thickness of 0.11 inches, handle thickness of 0.45, and a weight, according to my scales, of 3.35 ounces. So very good, standard sort of EDC size. A tick above that, ounce per inch that we want, but not by enough to really matter. Size comparisons, we will do our usual Spydercos up front. We have your Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. So you can see pretty similar in overall size to a Para 3. Do the usual Benchmades. We have your full-size Griptilian and the full-size Bug Out. So yeah, a little bit smaller than both of those. I don't have a mini grip right now. I am going to get a mini grip to do a full-on battle to the death between these two, because at 85 bucks and a mini grip's like right around 100. I think that's a pretty good comparison. They're going to be almost exactly the same size and everything. So you'll be seeing that coming up. Just got to get my hands on a regular mini grip. And lastly, we'll do a couple of different ones. Another one that also uses the Axis-y style lock. This is the Hogue Deca. Just a skosh smaller than a Deca. This happens to be the Wharncliffe one, but the standard clip point that looks more like this is about exactly the same size. And a new one, just because I have it out here. This is your ZT0357. I think if you're watching this video in the future, a lot of people are probably going to have these. Okay, let's get going with more about this knife. The blade, not screaming thin behind the edge, I will say. 25 thousandths, not atrocious either, though. It did come very sharp out of the box. The grind is very even. I will say that they did know this was going to a reviewer after I had to return it and get the correct one, so maybe it's a really good quality control one, but I don't know about that. Pretty thin blade stock. It's not a bad slicer at all. It's not like the dream or anything, but it's pretty darn good. and it does have a good, nice, robust tip on it, especially for a knife this size. Can't complain about it there. Really, really like this the blade quite a bit. The S35VN seems to hold up pretty well. It's one of my favorite EDC steels because it holds up well enough. Not too hard to sharpen. And at $85, I can't complain about that there. They also, I wanted to point out, did a kick-ass job on the sharpening choil. That's pretty good. The thumb studs might get in your way, and as far as I can tell, they're not easily removable, but not too bad. I think you'd be able to get around those all right. I've only just touched it up once on a my little angle set. My little angle set sharpener, who that's name escapes me right now. But it seems to sharpen up just fine. Not bad at all, and holds an edge plenty well enough. As far as the ergos go, also they're really, really good. The ergos are probably one of my favorite things about this. I think I mentioned that in that top 10 video. I never did a full review of the Terminus. I just wanted to get one in before I did my top 10 of last year, and I was glad I did because it did make the list because it is a really nice knife. It's just ergonomically, it's just outstanding. It's one of the things I really like about it. These little mill marks work very well to hold your hand in. The jimping up top is good. There's no hot spots. This pocket clip causes none whatsoever. I really, really do like the ergos on it quite a bit. They are coming out with some sort of larger-ish knives that aren't the Terminus, but they're a little bit bigger and very similarly shaped. Eager to see how those will be, but all four of my fingers fit on this just fine. But I am eager to see something that's a little bit bigger. I think that'll be cool, but pretty good. As far as the carry goes, not bad. I don't think it needs the flipper tab, but we'll get to that more why as we go on here a bit more. But yeah, the flipper tab does have a bit of jimping that sticks out, and it does scratch your finger a little bit going by. That's pretty undeniable, but it's a pretty thin knife, so it's not a huge issue. It's not hard to avoid it, but you're going to find yourself consciously avoiding, touching that pretty sharp jimping on the flipper tab as you go by. Yes, the pocket clip is basically just a big logo, but it's pretty small. It doesn't really bother me that much, and I think the average civilian isn't going to know what SOG means anyway. That means Special Operations Group, and that, it's a big scary knife. I don't think anybody's going to know that, so that doesn't really bother me. And it's not like it's a bright shiny thing, so that doesn't really bother me a whole lot. And as I said, it is right hand, left hand, easily reversible. You just pop these screws out, slide it out, flip it around, pop another one, and pop the screw back in. So pretty easy. As far as the deployment goes, it's good. It's good. A lot of the companies that have used the Axis style lock, I've said, are doing it better than Benchmade. The aforementioned Hogue. I kind of like Hogue's version better than a real Benchmade. But this one I would not put in that category. They did a pretty good job. I'm not going to say it's awful by any stretch of the imagination. It's pretty darn good. It still does, the Benchmade thingies, and that's fun. I just don't think they need this flipper tab because of the three ways you can deploy it. Benchmade style, thumb stud, or the flipper tab. The flipper tab is by far the least satisfying, and since it's there, I think it's the one that people are going to go to the most, and it's just, I don't know. They could have either made it a bit snappier, but that might have compromised the ability to thumb flick because it's already pretty hard detent for the thumb flick, and these thumb studs are a bit sharp. I think most people are going to go to the flipper tab, and it's the least satisfying way to open it. I much prefer, just pulling back the lock bar and flicking it open. It's not horrible. It's not like it's not going to shake out or anything like that. It needs a bit more detent for that flipper to work properly. And as I said earlier, the flipper tab does cause a bit of issue when it's in your pocket. So I'd almost just rather see it be gone, and just be more like a Benchmade grip or something like that. Just not have it. I just don't really see the need for it. I'm sure some people are going to grind them off if you want to bother modifying an $85 knife that much. But yeah, overall, I'm encouraged. I'm really eager to see what SOG has out with some of these new ones. A couple of them already really appeal to me on paper. I'm very excited to try them out. I'm excited to try the even cheaper version of this in the D2, which I have not yet, with a plain old G10 scales. I think this is a very encouraging step forward. for SOG. I really, really do. And by the way, if you want to see even more in depth about this, this is going to be in the May issue of Knives Illustrated. I'm doing a full written review of it, along with another knife with a similar lock. This is the Benchmade Presidio 2 CF Elite. Those will both be in the May issue, written by me. And if you're not going to knivesillustrated.com, go do that. I'm doing almost daily news updates there now. So if you want to see what's going on in the knife world, good place to find out. So go check them out. Shameless plug for my other job. Hope you guys have enjoyed this review. This is a really cool knife, and I do recommend, if you've looked away from SOG, even if it's not this one, take a look at some of the stuff they've got coming up. If they're put together as well as this, then I'm all for it, honestly. I'm eager to see them back in marketplace, because SOGs are available in lots of just normal stores, and it'll be cool to see some of their stuff improving. I think anything, you know, water raises all boats, and I really think it will help out the whole industry if a company that's so widely available continues to get better at the rate that they are. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.